What is reality? Are we living in some sort of a matrix? Or is this a test that we chose to take? Up next on Fringianity. What is your opinion of the world today? And what does this Bible have to say? Fringianity. Welcome to the show. Now, before I start the show, I just want to point out a few things. This show is a show that talks about fringe topics with a Christian point of view. So if that offends you, please turn it off now, and you don't have to be offended. All right. So it's been a little while since I've done the show, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm kind of a bit lacking and it seems like I don't know what I'm doing. It's because I haven't done the show for a while and because I've been working and busy with life. But that's beside the point. I'm not going to make that what the whole show's about. So this show is something I've been working on for quite a while, kind of thinking through. It's just stuff I think about every now and then and kind of ponder, I guess. I don't know, whether or not some of these ideas are true or not, and none of us actually can say that we do either, because nobody knows until after you die and you find out, or until after Revelation or whatever. But getting to the point of what I'm doing here is the question, okay, what is reality? Are we living in a matrix? I mean, these are questions that a lot of New Agers ask constantly. And they seems to just, they just push out biblical stuff and anything that's Christian and say that that's all part of being locked in the cage, that if you're following religion or any kind of thing like that, then your mind is in a cage and it's because you're delusional, and you're not with it. And, obviously they have been enlightened, and who knows what they have been enlightened by, but whatever. The point of this is to, talk about the idea that what if we really are living in a matrix, okay? Not in a New Age sense, but if you just look at this through a biblical lens, you could kind of see that that what we're actually doing here could be considered a kind of a matrix. So let's begin with just basically, what is reality? How do we know we are in a real world or a real existence? How do you know that what we touch and feel is real? How do you know that? Other animals have senses that they can pick up things that we can't. They can pick up things that we can't see. They know things that we can't know because they have senses that pick up things that we can't even physically deal with. So if we can't even deal with it, then how do we know that we're in a real, that actually the world we live in is the real thing? What if animals even can see outside of that a little bit, What if they can see, because look at John, John that wrote the book of Revelation or whatever. He's sitting there talking about, obviously, we're not in the final reality here, okay? I mean, obviously, heaven, the new heaven and the new earth, will be the final reality for those of us who believed in Jesus Christ and, stuck with him throughout everything, and went into heaven, to the next life or whatever. That life must be more real than this one, because this one is, we're in a sinful body. Our world is literally covered in sin, and basically this world is run by the enemy, and that's basically it. There's so many levels of illusion that we are in right now, from what I can see, that it's hard to believe that we're actually in the final reality, because we're very much in a almost sleeping state compared to when we're in heaven with Jesus. So just that alone makes me go, yeah, we're in a matrix, okay? That's just how I see it. And I just use the word matrix just because it's a movie that everybody knows about, that literally talked about reality that was generated by CGI or computers that wasn't the real reality, And so that makes sense that we could be, I don't think it's generated by computers. I believe it's just straight up generated by God. If God were to walk away and just give up everything or just disappear one day, none of this would exist, including us. We would just be gone. So he spoke everything into existence with his words. So if he just decided to speak everything out of existence with his words, I'm pretty sure he could handle getting rid of everything. So anyway, some people in this world, they believe in this. They believe in things that are kind of strange. There's a lot of people who use this Matrix thing to actually deceive Christians in a lot of ways, or to deceive people in general. I don't believe in the Mandela effect. I don't care what anyone tells me. I'm sorry, but there's just not enough. I believe that there is something that that is deception that's happening into everyone in the world right now. And even the Bible does describe a great deception in the end times. I don't believe that God is going to allow, or I don't believe that man has the ability to take, control away from God and be able to go, oh, I can change time. I think that God has that control, and he will delegate that control to whoever he sees fit, as long as it is in his ballpark, as long as he's willing to allow this. Because if he doesn't want it, it's not going to happen. So people always freak out about this Mandela effect. For a while there, I haven't heard much about it lately, but I do hear every now and then some guy or whatever on YouTube somewhere here and there, oh, it's because of the Mandela effect that this is happening. It's like, well, I think there's other reasons that things could be happening other than Mandela effect or like some of these strange things that they blame the New World Order and the Illuminati on. You got to remember, we're warring against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So that's who we're really dealing with. And those entities on the other side are really the puppets that control the Illuminati or New World Order or United Nations or ISIS or whatever. But they're basically entities on the other side, which would be like fallen angels. So they're really the ones pulling the strings here. We can't see them. So of course, we're assuming that it's this world government, but really it's further back than those guys. Those guys are just the puppets. The people that are working them we can't touch them right now. This whole thing about, the Mandela effect, they're changing reality and words and stuff are changing, and the Berenstein Bears is spelt differently. It's Oscar Mayer Wiener is spelt different than you remember it. Just because you remember it differently or whatever doesn't mean that it really is there. And, some of these people were remembering scriptures in the Bible wrong. So they're remembering it wrong, so therefore they expect the Bible to be the way that they remember it, which is wrong. So they're expecting the Bible to change because they remembered it wrong. And I don't believe that's right. You're not supposed to change the scriptures. So I'd throw out the Mandela effect. I'm not even going to go there. I know some people might get mad at me for whatever, throwing it out, whatever. I'm not going to analyze this that whole thing throughout the whole show and make it all about the Mandela effect. My thing is that there's a bigger picture than the Mandela effect. It's even bigger than all that. There's something much bigger than all of these things, all of these conspiracies and all these things that people analyze on the YouTube. It's a bigger thing. Because all of these things kind of can be connected in some way. The Mandela effect is just one facet of a bunch of little things that people are analyzing on the internet. I mean, the flat earth, I don't even want to even get into that, because those guys will fight you until the bitter end, and they talk very egotistical and very full of themselves, like they have higher knowledge than everybody else. And they talk down to you. And they basically tell you you're brainwashed, you don't know, but you can get your knowledge from me. I know. That they know that the earth is not round. So that's all that matters. Well, no, the gospel is all that matters. Because the earth is passing away. When the earth is dying and everything's on fire and the sky is darkened and nobody can see anything, and people are eating people, and everything's going wrong, and everyone's killing each other? Do you think we're going to go, oh, but thank God we know that the flat earth is what we're on? No, they're going to be like, please, Jesus, come soon. Because there will be Christians on the earth right up until the end. It's not, from what Revelation sounds like. They're not going to be going, hey, if I could just prove that the earth is flat, we could change all this. No, that's not going to matter. The earth is dying. It's passing away. And it's not dying from global warming. It's just going to pass away. There's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. So if you're going to have a new heaven and a new earth, are you going to cry about if the old earth was flat? No, you're going to be like, thank the Lord, we have a new heaven and a new earth. And the Lord is here with us now. If the earth was round or flat, maybe he can explain it. So I don't care. So let's not get all worked up about one single little thing that's not going to change. I mean, it's not going to matter in the end. What's going to matter is hearts and minds that are devoted to Jesus, that got saved. And we are living in the end times, so I don't believe that we should be waiting around and beating people over the head over flat earth or whatever. And if you don't like that, then you can turn this off. You don't ever have to listen to me again. So I'm sorry if that offends you, but that's just how I feel about it, okay? This is my show. I'll say what I want. That's just the way it is. Anyway, getting to the point here, the Bible does talk about that we are already seated in heaven with God. I believe it was Paul that wrote about that. So that's kind of an interesting thing, that we are already seated in heaven with God. But I'm not sure exactly if that was just the disciples or those who, are really, who are living with the Lord for 1,000 years, because you got to remember that the Lord is outside of time, so he's talking to you in a future event, basically, as if that is in the moment almost, So anyway, that's just something that's very interesting, that we're seated with, that it's possible to be seated with the Lord, and still be in the world at the moment right now, going through all these things that we're dealing with. Which leads me further to believe that we're in a kind of a matrix, and we're kind of in a test to see our allegiance, whether we will stick with Jesus by our own will or not, which is kind of an interesting thing. So, my theory, this is just my theory, I'm just throwing this out there. A lot of this stuff will be me just having a theory, which it's good to have theories and analyze things, because you can kind of put things together. And we might actually all together find the answer by just giving one person another idea, saying, well, what if it's this, or what if it's that, So, just say that, okay, just say we're outside of time. We really are outside of time. Our physical soul or whatever. And we decided at some point that we were going to go with, or that basically we're talking to the Lord and saying that we all agreed that we were going to go into the earth and be born onto the earth and all that stuff to be tested. So if we're going to get tested, then the earth was spoken into existence and all this stuff, right? And it could be that we're being tested to show our allegiance to God out of free will. This is our free will. We are given free will to go and prove ourselves, So we are put into a place that is not the best place, that's tempting us, that's leading us away from what we originally were thinking when we started this, So then we have been given these bodies on earth, and everything is physical, and all this. And now we have to go through all these trials and tribulations, basically. And some people, they get given everything. Some people, that everybody's got a different kind of trial and tribulation. One guy's trial might be that he won the lottery. Oh, that sounds like he just was blessed. No. What if he won the lottery, and now because he won the lottery, he decides to go and, he just leaves his wife and his kids. Now, he's really being tested, because that money went to his head. That changed him. And now he's dealing with something that he needs to overcome this. And he could struggle and he could ruin his whole life, and then somehow later on in life find Jesus and realize he's wrong and all this stuff. But he went down that road. That was a trial that he went through. And I mean, even Job went through the worst, all kinds of trials and tribulations. I mean, just look at Job. He had all this stuff. But in the end, he was rewarded because he stuck with God. So that's a great thing. So I believe that, yes, this is I don't know if it's an illusion, but it's a kind of matrix, for lack of a better word. So we're basically, imagine we're just on the earth, and we're going through, all these different trials to test us and our loyalty. Well, just look at the world we're living in. This thing is becoming more of the test is getting harder by far as I'm concerned. There's more things presented to us nowadays that's hard for our brains to even handle. Even me, I just struggle sometimes in even feeling like I have any spiritual attachment to Jesus. Sometimes it's just that you go through a dry period where you're just like, you feel like it's just not lasting, and I'm not willing to give up and just, I'm going to turn to the dark side. No, I know Jesus is my Lord, but you go through periods where you're just like, hey, I don't have all the answers. I don't know. I'm, kind of depressed. I'm just like, yeah, what do I do here? You kind of have this, what do I do, Lord? I don't know. Nobody has all the answers. Nobody's perfect. So you get that. And because of all the stuff that's presented in this world today, there is just so much stuff to keep us just completely blind in an illusion that we can't even pull our heads out of it long enough to really focus on God even. I know. I'll be the first to admit that I struggle with the same. I'm struggling just like anyone else on that. There's a cell phone. Oh, I could check Facebook. Oh, I could do this. Or I want to find out. If that Star Wars movie was any good. All these little things. It's part of the illusion. It's keeping me away from what I was meant to do, serve the Lord. And today we are so busy. We have so much going on. We have so much in our life. We have a job to go to. People got kids. We got all this stuff going on. And then the kids that people have issues too, because you got a school that's teaching them, a lot of unbiblical things and teaching them the ways of the world more than they're teaching them, obviously, the ways of God. You just got this constant battle going on. And then when we think that, we're going to just go numb our mind a little bit, we're going to go to a movie. Then you go to a movie, and the movie has stuff in it that's presented in a way that's almost leading you away from God sometimes. Or it makes you have to think, or it's even very divisive, where a certain group of people hate another group of people because, they didn't like the movie, or they didn't like some of the way that their characters that they liked in the movie were presented, or whatever. Everything's a division, kind of. You got black people against white people, Black Lives Matter, all this stuff, and we're just divided, You got people, everything that Trump does, he's a Nazi, he's a terrible person, he wants to kill everyone, and you got Obama saying, Trump's, Adolf Hitler. Well, that's funny, because why did he go over to Jerusalem and, do all that stuff, It's just ridiculous. And you got the United Nations. They're basically trying to tell us what to do. It's all this division, all this, this constantly pulling and, dragging you down. It's just such a stressful, irritating thing that we tend to want to pick a side. We want to go, I'm Republican, I'm Democrat. We have to make war because you and me, we don't get along because you're Republican, I'm Democrat, And it's a gang mentality. It's just a groupthink thing that's being presented to us so that we will always stay connected to the news and the events of the world and worry more about the events of the world than actually saving souls and getting people to know Jesus, or doing anything that's actually in a good way toward what God would want us to do. And it's really disheartening to see people constantly fighting, people bickering over every little thing in a way that, like I said, with the flat earth and, Mandela effect and whatever. These things are dividers. Or the rapture. Oh, there's a hot button subject that Christians will kill each other over. It's really a divider. And I understand that if I believe in something, I can't be afraid to state what I believe, because now I'm censoring myself because of offensiveness and people get offended too easily, which I don't believe in that either. My point is, we got so much bombarding us, and we have so much technology being presented to us, and all of these things are being presented to us. And by the way, the technology that we keep getting is always spying on us. And nobody cares about that. But the spy grid that technology is providing is really the pyramid with the eye at the top, the eye of Sauron or whatever, staring down at us and watching us and everything that we do. And even I'm guilty of saying something on the internet that I probably wouldn't say to a person in real life. It's just, the thing is, they're presenting a false sense of reality that's wrapped around us so tightly that we can't get out of it, because everywhere we go to be part of this society is to be part of the technology and the world that we have. There's people who, I'll just use burner phones and just not use the internet. Well, okay, you won't use the internet, but like my parents, they want to do certain things. Well, you have to have an app for that, or you have to go online for that. And my parents, sometimes my parents get mad because they're like, I shouldn't have to go onto the internet to do everything. Well, see what's happening? They're being herded toward the internet, toward the world system, the system that is spying on you, that wants to, that data mines every single thing that we do all day long. And that system, like I've said several times in the past, is going to be the system of the Antichrist. And you can already see it, because what does the Antichrist do? Or what does Satan do? He accuses the brethren both day and night. So if you build a global brain, and everybody's information is being fed into it, now that global brain knows all of your secrets on the internet. Now it can judge you and accuse you both day and night. Now it can be the final judge and the final say as to whether you're liked, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whatever you are. Because whoever's behind that, whoever runs that, or if it thinks for itself, because that's a very big possibility that the AI will realize that it will realize itself. I don't think that the AI will be a robot per se that is intelligent. I think it'll have a spirit behind it, which is the Antichrist. So this thing will be judging people. I mean, they're already using, I mean, Congress people all the time are being spied on, and you hear all their dirty little secrets just, come out whenever somebody doesn't like what somebody, it just magically, that somebody, this guy was, cheating on whatever, this guy was this way back in the day or whatever, and, allegations. Any allegation that's against you must be true. I mean, if a woman comes out and said that she was raped, therefore it's true, which is kind of scary. I mean, you want to have a heart for those people who probably are raped or abused or whatever, but now if anybody is given any allegation, it's considered the truth. So therefore, if a woman, or anybody for that matter, says that anybody does anything, well, the public says, well, that's kind of frowned upon, so we want to shy away from that person now. You see how that works? What if the deep state, or whatever you want to call it, has enemies, and they want these people gone? So then they say, well, we've known for many years that this guy has had this problem because of, they have all this information collected from the global brain and the internet and the NSA, and they're using it now to turn people over to us, basically. They present us all, you and me, with a story and say, this guy was cheating on his wife, and he was raping all these women, or he was doing all these things, and suddenly we're judging. We're doing the thing that Christians should not be doing, because we have not seen the firsthand evidence to prove this. We've only been told a story. And we all know that fake news is out there, and we also know that a lot of these news sources are liberal-owned, who basically want to tear down anything that is in their way to ruling the world. That's kind of how it works. So there's all this politics going on that we can't trust, we don't know, that you can't trust anything. They're making you believe in that there's just nothing to trust, so that eventually when a figure comes up and says that I am, the God of, I was Allah, I was Jesus, I was all these things, I am the AI brain, I am Scientology, on crack, where you can believe in, me because I've been proven through science or whatever. All of this will culminate into one being, and he will be the Antichrist. And I'm pretty sure that he'll be able to accuse the brethren both day and night. And I'm sure he will do that to Christians. And many Christians will also suffer because they have done things on the internet that they shouldn't have, and this global brain will know all of their secrets. So then they will look bad in the eyes of the public and of the world, because of they had, whatever, cheated on their wife over an app or something, I don't know. And so suddenly, they could be guilty in the eyes of the public now, because all those other guys that they're showing you right now on the news had accusations, obviously, so we're going to judge them. Well, what's to stop them from having Christians just pop up suddenly? Oh, it's not going to be just Trump. I understand they want to go for Trump, and that's probably why they're showing all these allegations. But it's also a system that's coming in the future where they're going to eliminate those people who are a threat to them. So the best way to eliminate your enemy is to say, oh, that pastor of that church was a pedophile. And he might not have been a pedophile, but the news got out there that he was, and everybody shies away from that man now, and guess what? Or maybe he goes to jail even, because of some allegations that the NSA had documented a long time ago, because they're stockpiling all of our data. It's a global brain system. So what if they turn all this stuff on all of us? It's not just these congressmen or these famous people. So that's just something to think about. And this is, once again, this is dividing us. This is what I'm saying. This is the illusion, the world illusion that we're living in. We're not living in the real world. We're living in illusion. And pretty soon it's going to go, even bigger, because now they have video games. You could just put the glasses on and you're right inside of it and all this stuff. Well, how many of these people, World of Warcraft people or whatever, will be playing these games online, and they'll just douse their whole life into it, and they'll just live in there. So you can't trust anything anymore. I mean, there's so much illusion. I mean, I've seen people, okay, here's one thing. Time does seem to be speeding up. I agree with that. Because I notice that from year to year, I swear, time is just going faster. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older. I don't know. Who knows what that's all about. But I know that, some of these, there's some strange stuff that you see out there. And I've seen pictures. Some people, like, you'll see people on Facebook, they'll post a picture of a Union soldier or whatever, or a Confederate soldier or something, and oh, there's a jet plane in the background. Therefore, there must have been a weird thing in time where a jet plane was really there in that old picture. I mean, because obviously we can trust that picture. Well, I did a little thing where I actually made some of those myself. I took some old pictures online, just the crappiest old pictures of Confederate soldiers, old wars or whatever, and put some drones in there, put some whatever, and turns out I could actually do that on an app on my phone and have it look just as real as that jet plane. that was in that Confederate soldier's photo. So the illusion is not hard to make. We can make it ourselves. And, well, Hollywood studios can make it big time. Who's to say some of these Hollywood studios that have all this money and CGIs and all this, it's basically magic. Who's to say that they can't use that to serve the big purpose of the Antichrist in the future, or even now, to make you think that something's happening, but it's really not. I mean, we can't trust anything. So the thing that we can trust is Jesus. So just imagine, we're being tested. All of this stuff is just tests. It's just a big test to see if we will actually hold to Jesus or give up and run into the world, and run to the world, and be loved by the world, and basically the Antichrist. So I guess in a way, our feet are starting to be held to the fire. We just haven't noticed it. You go to family events and stuff nowadays, and people just sit there on their cell phones. I mean, this is my family. I've seen it in my family anyway. Just people sit there on their cell phones. They just don't, they don't care. They're just like, whatever. They'll talk a little bit, but they're always staring at their cell phone. It's an illusion. And they're in their own individual delusional state. And Satan has this set up for everyone now. He's basically broadening this. And eventually there will be the mark of the beast and all that stuff. So you won't be able to buy or sell without taking the mark of the beast. And you'll have to worship it. And this is what I'm saying. We're really living in a time that is very strange, because everything we deal with, well, I'm sure in the past it's been this way too, where people have been dealing with, politics and stuff, but not to this crazy extent that we are nowadays. I mean, you only hear bad news, negative news. You never hear anything good. If one politician says one thing, the other politician's at his throat saying he's a Nazi, terrorist, racist, evil person, sexist, homophobe, Islamophobe, everything, And in the past, we've never had attacks on presidents to where they're holding a fake, mock-up of his head cut off so many times. I mean, like him or hate him, but I don't believe you should do that to anyone. If that was Obama, though, it'd be racist, and everybody that did it would be, prosecuted and in jail. So it's pretty pathetic. And I'm not taking his side, I'm just saying that is wrong all the way around. So I just don't understand how this world, how people think that people can be so right, but they're in an illusion. They think they're so right, but they're still living in this illusion. And you got, people fighting over everything. And that illusion is what they're really, the reason why they're fighting other people. Because there's an illusion over their eyes, so that it makes them see their neighbor as their enemy, instead of helping them and caring for them. And, I don't have all the answers. But this is just something I really am noticing. Everybody is in an illusion. Everybody is in the Matrix. And we're becoming more enthused with the Matrix than we are with what's behind the Matrix on the other side, which is eternal life. And we're not focusing on that eternal life. We're focusing on the gadgets, the games, the movies, everything. And I'll be the first to admit it. I like going to see movies. I like some video games. I like a little bit of everything, But sometimes I get overblown with that stuff, and it overwhelms me to where I feel like I'm literally like a zombie, and I'm just kind of I don't care anymore. It's I just don't care about anything, because that stuff has sucked my soul out, basically. I'm not saying I sold my soul to the devil. I'm just saying it basically numbed me so that I don't care about my purpose, Jesus Christ. That's the most important thing. So that's just something I know this is a big jumbled up mess. But this is something that I really feel strongly about because I've really noticed this, and I see it a lot in a lot of people I deal with. And it's also truth. Truth has become a question mark. If I say something that is a fact, the next person will talk to me and they will say, well, that's your truth. That's my truth. How is that my truth? So we're saying that truth is questionable now? That there isn't an actual hard, solid rock for truth anymore. There's just, everything's kind of questionable. Everything's up for a question. So then if everyone thinks like that, then that means that Jesus Christ is up for question. Well, he might not have died on the cross. So that means that shooting somebody it's questionable. It might be right. It might be wrong. You never know. Somebody comes in your house, rapes your wife. That's questionable. It might be right. It might be wrong. It's questionable. You see what Satan's doing to us? He's getting us to open our minds up just enough to hesitate to serve God and just to question him enough so that we will spend a little bit more time questioning than actually, searching it in the scripture and going, you know what, this is wrong. I can't support this. I can't support killing. I can't support killing a baby. That's not right. Oh, but technically you can't. You have to see it this way too because it's beneficial. No, it's not beneficial. It's killing. And that's just something I just think about. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other things, but there's so many things right now. I mean, like recently, this is just some pop culture for you. I went to the Justice League movie, and then I went to the Last Jedi Star Wars movie. And both movies, division. The people who went to see those movies either hated it or liked it. And if they liked it, the people on the internet hated them and started, a war. And the critics and all this stuff hated these things and whatever. Star Wars, the same thing. Well, some people liked it. I liked it. I thought it was okay. It was fine. I don't think too deep into it, I guess. And I do see the things that are not of Christ in it. But I'm saying that there's people who hated it, and they will let you know. They're the loudest screaming people on the internet right now. Oh, this is not my Luke Skywalker. Okay, fine. Oh my God, but you know what? It's not a life-changing event. It's a movie. But these people live for this. So it's just, this world is becoming such a divisive place. Everyone's so divided and so against each other. And when they're not divided and against each other, they're just kind of having this zombie look on their face because they have been sucked into the matrix and this big illusion for so long that they're just kind of just, whatever. Who cares, man? I can't deal with that right now. I don't really have the time for that. I just, people want to pleasure themselves or have pleasure more than they want Jesus, and they're just into this big delusion. They've bought into a system that has sold them the biggest lie. So in the Bible, when it does say that there's a great deception, it's really here. We're living in it, and we probably don't even notice it half the time. It's so well done that we haven't even noticed this great deception. It's been weaved right around us, and it's fitting to each individual, so that each individual is in their own little version of the Matrix. And that's pretty crazy. I mean, that's some wild stuff if you think about it. And I mean, on the other side, when we die, after all this is over, are we going to remember all of this stuff? Are we going to remember everything that we did in this world? Because that makes sense if we do, because that would be why, why the Lord has to wipe away our tears. Because we could have been serving the Lord all this time, but instead we're playing Xbox. We could have been serving the Lord all this time, but instead we were talking trash about somebody on the internet, or trying to beat them over the head with a flat earth, or trying to do this, that, and the other thing. We could have been doing so many things, but we didn't. Because we were so wrapped up in the world that we forgot that the one true God who loves us told us, or gave us a test basically, and said, here, I want to see your allegiance. I don't know if that's how he sees it. I'm just saying that that's what it seems like. It's like a test. It's like Job, and we're all a Job, and we're all being tested to see if we will hold to God. Because if we do hold to him, we will be rewarded for that. But if we serve the other side now, we just quit and we walk away. It's just like the fallen angels. They knew God, and then they chose not to serve God, which is the opposite of us. We basically come to know God in our life, whereas they already know him when they exist. So it's just interesting. It's all about free will, though. And all of this it's all a big test. That's the only way I could see it now. I've really been thinking of this for a while, and I just feel like this is a big test. And your Father, who sees in secret, is watching. And that's not the NSA, that's not the spy grid, that's the real judge, not the Antichrist, fake judge. That's not Satan, the accuser, who accuses the brother in both day and night. That's God, who can judge you righteously. So this is just some stuff I wanted to talk about and think about, I don't know. I probably just babbled, but some of this stuff might actually ring true to somebody, and it might be very interesting to at least analyze and think about. And this is just kind of something I wanted to talk about, and I haven't done a show for a while, so this is just something I figured I'd come back and do, because it's kind of a big topic with a lot of facets to it, and I'm sure I didn't cover all of the whole gambit of everything that there is, but I just wanted to hit on it so people can think about this. This is just really good subject to kind of go over in your head and think about. Just think of it as you're being tested, and your Father is watching. He can see you all the time. You're being tested, your Father is watching, instead of your phone is watching, or the internet's watching, or the government spy grid is watching. Just think of it as your Father's watching, who's more powerful than all of the government spy grids together. So that's pretty much all I have this week. I'm pretty sure I lost most of the listeners since I've been not doing the show for so long. But I have work and life, so I got to deal with that, and got to take care of my wife and deal with stuff. So it's the way it goes. So that's pretty much all I have. Thank you for listening, and God bless. If you like this show, you can also find us under Leo Rutledge on YouTube. That's all capital letters, Leo Rutledge on YouTube. Shows like this in audio will be up on the YouTube channel, as well as video shows where I talk about other stuff as well. So check out Fringianity on YouTube under Leo Rutledge. Also, please check out the Fringianity Underground podcast Facebook group for show posts and Fringianity YouTube show posts as well. Also check out the Bible Underground. The Bible Underground is a electronic truther Christian / rock band music project that I'm working on. I'd really like your support. So if you enjoy my show, please support my music. I'm on Amazon, iTunes, wherever you download your music. And there's also a Facebook page and a YouTube channel devoted to the Bible Underground. So please check them out. So if you've listened through all of that, I want to say thank you for putting up with me. And thank you for listening to the show. And thank you for showing your support. God bless.